It's definitely a warm morning here in Morning at NTV. In our Kickstarter, we're going to be looking at improving Uganda's visitor experience ahead of the NAM plus G plus 77 and also strengthening the tourism leverages for the economic growth come the year 2024. The road to recovery could be crystal clear where I'm seated with the people that I'm going to be having this conversation with. I am Priscilla Regina Deloga. Once again, you're most welcome. The non-aligned movement and the group of 77 plus China Third South are having their summits in Uganda, and they're going to be ensuring the promotion of tourism, trade and investment, thereby fetching more revenue for us as a country. As the event is drawing in a few days, we can actually say that we do have the Entebbe International Airport that is already geared up and ready to receive our guests. A number of visitors are going to be coming through the international airport, and these visitors will have the chance to explore Uganda's rich culture, the national parks, the historical sites, the foods, and so much. But the sector players are braced for this opportunity. Question is, how prepared are they currently? Because we are seeing a lot of lagging behind in the other infrastructure preparedness. For example, the roads are passing via the Sheraton Road, and they're just clearing it to maybe put fresh tarmac at this point in time. And so it begs the question, is the tourism sector ready for these two conferences that are yet to happen? Well, Jean Byamugisha, Executive Director with the Uganda Hotel Owners Association, will answer that question for us, as well as Herbert Byaruhanga, President with the Uganda Tourism Association, also is going to be giving us an insight into that, but also a leap into 2024. Good morning, Jean.
Good morning.
You're most welcome.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Herbert, Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very, very good. I'll start with Jean.
Yes.
We want to find out, we are seeing a lot of delays in the preparations for these two summits that are coming up in just a few days. It begs the question, is the hospitality industry ready to receive our visitors from the world all over?
Absolutely. I can 100% say with confidence that the hospitality industry is very ready. MICE has been one of the things that we have been championing as Uganda Hotel Owners Association, and we also how we got ready for CHOGM, and it has been steadily growing since that time. Again, everybody has seen the big conference center that is coming up in Speak Resort Munyonyo. Kampala Serena is ready. Sheraton Hotel is ready. We have had the opportunity to assess the hotels around. The hotels are ready. We've had training of hotel staff. We've upped the security. We are in talks with tourism police, Uganda police, security companies. So I can say with absolute certainty that the hotels are ready to host this conference.
Okay. What are some of those criteria you've had to cross-check with the hotels that you have so far accredited to be hosts?
The first thing is service, level of service. The eyes of the world are going to be on us. So we have to make sure that all our staff have been trained. The second thing is the number of conference facilities, the toilet facilities. Is it, we need to be able to have hotels which can be able to effectively get people moving, bathroom, restaurant, conference, this, without creating some sort of traffic jam. And I think the festive season is a perfect opportunity for us to be able to test these facilities, to test the high numbers in the hotels, and most importantly, to test the security. Uganda is one of the most secure countries, but we know that security is very fragile. One incident like the one we had in Queen Elizabeth really took us long for us to be able to recover from that. So again, with NAM, with VIPs, VVIPs, the eyes of the world on us, we have got to make sure that security is paramount.
Well, I'm glad you bring up security, because the last time I talked to Herbert here, it was still regarding the state of security and the tourism sector. And speaking up from there, Herbert, when you look at the most ugliest incident that we had in the Queen Elizabeth National Park and where we are today, has the state of security improved for tourists world all over to come through these summits?
I think the Queen Elizabeth National Park was the safest place ever since the killing happened. It has been the safest. So in other words, people dying kind of in a similar manner, it happens all over the world. So it shocked us, because we have just had other bad situations before. But quickly people were able to come out, everybody worked together, private sectors, government, they got out messages, social medias were very active, the media houses were very positive about this issue, and we are recovering. We are seeing numbers building up again for 2025. So security is not a big issue at the moment, because there are many other places which have more security concerns, like Israel, Russia. They're more security conscious than Uganda. Is small. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So with these two summits underway, what is the significance of these towards the tourism sector? Because we're seeing over 100 heads of state that will be in our country, even more hundreds of delegates that will be with them. And so what's the significance of this in boosting our tourism as a country?
It's a huge boost for the country that all cameras will be focusing on Uganda. It's a huge boost in terms of visibility. We are being visible that we can host such a huge number. We have capacity of hosting such a huge delegation. And of course, it is a platform for us to start thinking further. What do we do after this? Should we just take it one-off and keep quiet? We should be able to immediately start going to some of these countries where these people are coming from. We should be able to think about looking at all those countries and pick out those that have got powerful economies with travelers in their countries, and we follow them up immediately, go to their countries to attract more people coming to Uganda. It's a platform for us to market, but also it's a good thing for us to build confidence within ourselves in the country, to show people that our country can host such a big delegation. It means we are safe. It means we have whatever it takes. It also rubs off all the negative forces we have had before, that Uganda is not safe. How can you be unsafe, then you host such a big delegation? So it's good for the country. Okay. In all ways, in all sectors of the economy, it's good for us. We just have to be strategic. What do we need to get out of this? In terms of tourism, yes, we must move quickly and make sure that as soon as they get out of here, we have a program to follow.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. When it comes to the hospitality sector, Jane, it's very interesting to note that, for example, if we were to take a leaf from our neighbors, Kenya, they have adopted the hospitality sector has adopted to so much inclusion of technology in easing the comfort of guests, especially international guests. And that's not something that we have quickly or easily jumped on board with here in Uganda. And so it begs the question, what is the kind of standard that our guests are going to be receiving?
First of all, the fact that Uganda bidded and got this conference, it takes a lot. It takes technical teams coming here. It takes financial involvement. So by the time Uganda won this, at least we already had the confidence amongst the organizers, amongst the heads of state and the security and their protocol teams that we were capable of handling this. Certainly, Uganda has been lagging behind in terms of IT, that's for certain. But also we need to look at the other factors that Uganda brings to the table. We're a beautiful country, we're a secure country. And that's also a bit of an advantage in that IT has taken away the face-to-face interaction. But for us in Uganda, the reason we are still one of the friendliest countries in Africa is because of the face-to-face interaction. So it is both a disadvantage and advantage in that case. It is something that is already being addressed by the Uganda Hotel Owners Association. We have appealed to government, for instance, for tax incentives. The hotels are still one of the biggest taxed industries in this country. Hotels pay 26 different types of taxes and licenses. For a hotel to break even, it must operate at 40% occupancy. Less than 10% of hotels are operating at 40% occupancy. So it is a highly distressed industry in regards to taxation, which is why inclusion of some of these IT, they are very expensive for us to import and pay taxes. But with working very closely with government through public-private partnerships, we are able to address some of these challenges. And I really must commend the government. They've really given a lot of incentives to the hospitality industry to be able to address this. We also, the spike in the growth of the hospitality industry after CHOGM, you know, hotels came up just like that. We had tax exemption on everything, on operational materials and construction materials, everything apart from steel and cement was exempt. And the government was able to see how much can be achieved when you work with private sector. The same incentive, okay, not the same incentives, but incentives have also been given to the hospitality sector, which we are very grateful for. But again, we are saying build on that. If you see what happens when we work together with government, I mean the infrastructure, we are proud to see the works which are going on at the airport. We are proud to see security teams coming and checking our facilities and actually giving us a stamp of approval that we are ready. So Uganda is for all of us. It's not just for the hotel owners or for the tour operators.
You say
it's
Uganda is for all of us, but if we were to be realistic, honestly, if it was not for these two summits, our potholes would still be with us. If it was not for these two summits, our security wouldn't be as guru as Herbert is referring to. If it was not for these summits, that's the reality which we have to and so it begs the question, how do we as Ugandans benefit from these conferences? Let me start with you, Jean.
Okay,
how are we going to benefit?
Again, in all fairness, even when you're expecting guests at your home, it's not going to be business as usual for you, right? You will clean the areas you don't clean. When the vacos are coming, you clean the areas you don't clean. You'll have your kids... you repaint. You repaint, you'll have your kids. So we are not doing anything that even we as Ugandans don't do within ourselves. So let us first also look at it in that way. So while potholes are something that we have to get, now we have guests. You know, now it's time to clean up. Now it's time for all of us not to bash each other, but to work together. Because when your child gets embarrassed, you as a mother gets embarrassed. You know, when Kampala is bashed, we, all of us as Ugandans, when we travel, you know, when we had that incident in Queen Elizabeth, it was all of us attending these conferences, what's wrong with you, what's wrong with your country. So it is great to see that, let's put our differences aside, let us get this to be a success, because that success, like Herbert said, the value chain in tourism is very long. If this is a success, the same people who are coming will come back with their families, will come back with their spouses. They will market for us. I mean, word of mouth is an exceptional marketing tool, and that's what we want to be able to see.
I do agree on the word of mouth. I've had my own experience of that, and it begs the question of visibility. For example, Herbert, what's the visibility of the enormous tourism opportunities we do have in Uganda, right for the Entebbe International Airport? How are we marketing this country to these delegates so that they can have bits and tests of our country?
You know, we are not countries are different. Uganda is different. Even if we remain the way we have been with potholes and everything, we remain different. We're a different country. Have been several countries. Actually, we are far better than many other countries. If you come to Uganda, we always have something to attract you. We have to first appreciate that. Like Jean said, thank government for having done some of these things they are working on. It's okay, that's very good. But what visibility are we portraying to other people? The people of Uganda, the beauties of Uganda, the green cover of Uganda, you know, the systems we use. You can look at Kampala, the way the traffic is, but it's peaceful. Everybody's doing their own things. We are busy working. It shows that it's a growing economy. Everybody's working to earn something. That also gives hope to the people that they can come and even invest here, you can do business, because everybody's working hard to get something to earn, and that means people have to spend. As far as the tourism sector is concerned, people have always said Uganda is not safe, you cannot drive on Uganda's roads are bad, all those things. But now the cameras are going to come from all over the world to show even the roads. And I think what is important also is that some of these, I know there are some people have been selected, some tour companies have been selected, they have gone through the due diligence. They'll be able to showcase the country, they'll be able to take people around the country to show them what we have, the levels of lodges, the type of vehicles we use, guides, the nature of the product itself, what do we have, how can we develop new packages. So all this is going to attract attention of those people who would want to come to Uganda. And I think also, while people are saying Uganda is not is badly governed, they would have to see, no, this country is very beautiful. So if it is badly governed, how come people are all peaceful doing their own stuff? Who cares? Everybody's working hard to earn a living. So all those things combined together, they make Uganda the most preferred destination for investment and for tourism purposes.
And speaking of investments, how are we? The local word is kwetega.
You know, you see, the conference
tap into the present opportunities of investment in our country that are going to come through those two summits.
Well, I may not speak on the behalf of government, but I think from the private sector perspective, this is an opportunity for us. that we have to look at, like I said earlier, you have to look at these countries that have sent their presidents here. Because presidents come with ministers of different portfolios, and we follow them up. We have to make sure we go to these countries. We have to, I hope our people are going to negotiate for visa regimes to make sure it is easy to access their countries and they come to our country. The investment authority has prepared with a lot of offers they have for the people. I'm sure they're going to give a presentation to them, tell them this is what you can do in Uganda. And I think all of this they are very ready, because all the time we have interacted with the investment authority, it has been very promising. They have a lot of information given, but also the tourism sector has been involved. Jean is part of the committee, and we have a representative as well. So we have tried to put things together to make sure that whoever is in this conference understands how to invest in tourism and other areas.
I'm eager to know which are those tourist attractions that we are going to have our guests visit.
You see, Uganda, every bit of Uganda is unique. Every bit. Even if you go to Ngamba Island, it is unique. Even in Tebaron, it's different. I've been to even cities around us in other countries. We are different. So wherever they go, if they go to Merchant Falls, perfect. If they go to Jinja, perfect.
Is it by choice, or is there, something that you have specifically designed?
You see, like you have many things to offer. So which one do you consider? So the two operators have come up with an itinerary for them. They have an itinerary they have set up together, which is one is goes to the north, east, west, and south. There are those who will be interested in seeing gorillas and chimps. There are those who are interested in just adventure. All these have been packaged together for them.
Okay.
Yeah. All
right. So Chogam came, and we saw a lot of infrastructure development that came through. These two have come. We've not seen that in the hospitality sector. You're leveraging on the already existing, and yet it also presents you an opportunity to create more to attract more conferences and more international engagements that can be hosted here in Uganda. And so in line of that, how do we use these two summits to actually project a bigger potential future for the hospitality industry?
First of all, isn't that amazing that we are finally at a point whereby we have such a big conference coming in and we don't need to build hotels in 2, 3, 6 months? That already shows the investment. And again, remember that 90% of these hotels are owned by, they're privately owned. 86% are owned by Ugandans. So isn't that amazing to see that we as Ugandans, we are our own local investors, we have invested in our own country. I always say this, that you'll never find a Ugandan more patriotic than somebody who works in the tourism industry. The way Herbert sells Uganda as somebody who has visited Uganda, and when there's negative press, we are the ones who go out there into the world and say, no, Uganda is safe, no, Uganda, better than any other Ugandan. The way for us as hoteliers, somebody to make their money and say, I'm going to invest a 1 billion shilling, 10 billion shilling project in this country, that is a patriotic person who doesn't need to go anywhere else. And I always tell people, east, west, home is best. We travel, we do all this, but you always look forward to the day you come back home. You always look forward to the day you actually land at NTV Airport. So I think, first of all, it's amazing that we can host such a facility, and we are only improving on what already exists. But now, we also need to be able to spread outside Uganda. I see it improving, because before we would only have Serena Hotel as the only conference center that would host such an event, but then that had a ripple effect on everybody. The traffic jam, roads closed, people's businesses being inconvenienced. So it's already amazing that we have a private sector developer putting up a mega facility next to the airport in beautiful Entebbe, right next to the lake, making use of the marine tourism, the fresh air, the fresh food, the fresh tilapia these people are going to be eating right, within there. But I would like to see the next NAM going to Hoima. We have an international airport coming up there. I would like to see, like Herbert has said, the next conference taking place within the national park. We'd like to see government giving more incentives to private sector investors to be able to do some of these big projects. Why can't we have golf in Merchant Falls that would bring all these mega millionaires who want to play golf while the zebras are going around?
To Kenya
so
for their national
I know, and trust me, we have been to Kenya and run nobody has a better product than Uganda. And nobody is more patriotic than Ugandans.
That's true. It comes down to investment.
Yes.
So when it comes down to investment, first of all, what are the current challenges that the industry is facing?
Oh, we have huge challenges. Again, the biggest one being the high number of taxes that for a hotel to pay 26 different types of taxes and licenses every year. And unlike other businesses, for us, a hotel costs you more if it closes. We were spending more to manage the hotels during lockdown than we actually do. You know, you have to pay the same umeme bills whether you have guests or not, because you have to light up that hotel. You have got to maintain those gardens. You have got to pay the overhead costs. You know, you need to open those taps even when you have zero business for water to just go through the pipes. Otherwise, they will rust. But again, 90% of these hotels are built using loans. Our loans are 23 to 28% interest rate. You will never break even when you're competing with the international loan facilities that are 4, 5, 6, 8%. So the high tax regime is an impediment to what we are very capable of as private sector within the hospitality industry. I mean, we still really have a huge problem with human resource. You still see a lot of expatriate, especially management labor within the hotels. And that is something that we are trying to advocate. So even as Uganda Hotel Owners Association, we are working with UHTTI, our training school in Jinja. We are working with Makerere University, looking at the curriculum development. Ours is a very dynamic industry. You know, what I trained as somebody with a tourism degree is completely irrelevant to the industry that I'm working in right now. So if I am the kind of person who thinks that by getting a degree and I'm going to work in tourism, I have arrived, I will be extremely irrelevant and I will be eaten out and spat out in 2 seconds. It is a very competitive industry. It is a very dynamic industry, which also makes it interesting for us who work in there. We never have days where we are bored. We are learning new things. We are unlearning the things we learned, learning new things. So it makes it very interesting. It's an industry that supports young women. 58% of all our staff are women. 77% of all our staff are young people between the ages of 18 and 30. It has a very high absorption rate for young people. This is not maybe like a company that was going to hire 2, 3 people. If a hotel opens up, we are looking at hundreds of people getting jobs, young people, young women. So it is really an industry that ticks all the boxes for why government should be able to at least invest, give us a bigger budget and really invest in this industry.
Okay, so speaking of investment, what are those incentives that you believe can actually be able to mitigate the high tax regime that you mentioned about?
First of all, we need a review of the tax regime. There's nothing that is going to mitigate if those taxes remain 28 different taxes that we are paying. We need to be able to review this tax regime. And we are not saying take them away. We are saying many of these replicate each other. So for instance, we pay a hotel tax, but then we also pay bar license, swimming pool license, liquor license. The fact that I'm a hotel shows that I have to provide all these services. So why can't you
and
then...
the liquor you're selling is also being taxed.
Exactly. You know, and the swimming pool license and the bar. So why do I pay a bar license and the liquor license? The bar license says I'm going to sell alcohol. So what we're saying is, can we have a review of some of these taxes? Can they be incorporated and then pay 5 or 6 different taxes? It makes it easier to pay. Most importantly, it makes it easier to be more compliant, to be able to pay these taxes. So review of the tax regime is something that is extremely urgent and necessary. Review of the training curriculum is also something that is urgent. The training curriculum usually takes 10 years to be reviewed, 15 years. But again, this is an industry that is moving every 3 years.
Like you put up something and then your neighbor puts up something completely different. And
so we have people with papers that are extremely irrelevant, and you find that nobody is going to put up a 10 billion shillings and then get an incompetent person to run it. They are going, because number one, we're businessmen. We need a return on that investment. So I will do what makes business sense, even if that means me hiring an expatriate to come and manage my business. So we need a whole overview of, we need marketing. You know, the marketing cannot only be done by private sector. We need to be able to get a bigger budget for marketing. We need training. There's a lot that we need. But the good thing is, this is already in discussion. You know, we pushed for Uganda Airlines. It was the tourism industry that actually pushed for Uganda Airlines, said we need a road in the sky. We had one of the most expensive routes between Nairobi and Entebbe, paying $800 in Kenya Airways from Nairobi to Entebbe. Again, because Nairobi wants to keep the tourists who land in there. Uganda Airlines has solved all that. The other time we went to Mombasa for $280 return. So that already is government giving us infrastructure to boost the tourism industry, and for that we are grateful. The roads, people complain about Kampala potholes, but for us who travel up country to national parks, we have got one of the best road system outside.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But the capital still remains.
Yeah, the capital is.
You can't have it all nice,
Yeah.
you know, outside and inside. Home, it's not
True.
as attractive. Speaking of incentives, Herbert, on your side, what are some of the continuous challenges that you feel need to also be addressed through the opportunities of such summits?
You see, the tourism sector is an export. It's tourism products are exports that are consumed at the point of production. It makes it very different. But why do you want to give huge incentives on exports and forget tourism, which is actually the major source of quality employment? Because tourism is just made of hanging fruits, the lowest hanging fruits. We don't feed animals. We don't treat them. We don't do anything. But someone wants to come and look at them. Even a building, which was built many years ago, someone wants to come and look at it, and someone just goes there and explains it, who built it, who architectural design, who did what, and somebody's listening and pays money. That's, you know, we just need to invest in marketing our resources, our products. Once we market, then we get people coming in here. So I don't see why the hotels are struggling to pay all these taxes when they are actually solutions to government creation of employment, because government is struggling with a lot of youth who are unemployed, and yet the tourism sector is just there. We have not done even 10% of it. It is just there. We're just running around it, and which doesn't make sense to me. I think government really needs to quickly continue strengthening ties with private sector, where we guide them. We can guide government and tell them, look, let's touch here, and make it better. And of course, government has been very productive and supportive, but we need to look at how we can solve this problem. Other incentives are in domestic investment. When you get indigenous investment, it's very important, because, like Jean was saying, most of the facilities are owned by Ugandans, but there are other areas of investment that require indigenous investment. And if somebody is investing, can you give them tax holiday? For example, I am putting up a campsite, for example, a campsite which may accommodate 1,000 people in a year or 2,000 people in a year, and I'm going to run it for forever. Why don't you give me also a tax holiday for 10 years? Instead of giving it somebody who has come with money. Me, I'm here. If a bomb blasts, I will not run away. If anything happens, I will stay here.
Home is home.
Home is home. So we need to look at that as well, to be able to give the local investors tax incentives so that they're able to build. Because remember, the commitments people make, they create employment for people. They create jobs for people. They create businesses, Another thing is the government strategy on developing the products of tourism. What are those products we think should be our flagship products in the next 5 years? We put them together. Now, if we had like 5 we have concentrated on, it would make it much easier for us to sell to NAM and G77.
Okay, so before you go in further, when you say flagship products, in your capacity, what are those 5 products that we currently have that you believe can actually be flagged?
You see, because of what we've been going through, we have got everything is like a big product. But in considering the demand, we need to look at our cultural heritage tourism. That's a huge product that has got lots of opportunities for jobs. It takes tourists all over the place. They stay longer. They stay much, much longer. And then we segment wildlife. We need to segment wildlife and say which activities of tourists that can make people stay longer. We've spent a lot of time and money focusing on gorillas, but it's just one day. Chimpanzee one day. Someone who comes
unless you put a camp in there, then you can sleep among the
activities
chimpanzees.
one day. Unless someone wants to do an extra, because mountain gorillas, you have to track to go through the mountains. So, but if you have got like what I do, the bird watchers, they will stay for 20 days, 25 days, and they have one good day gorilla tracking, another day chimpanzee tracking. The rest of the time they're just walking around, looking at birds, whatever they're doing. You know, we've just had a fantastic conference of women bird watchers. Now, why are we doing this? Because we are bringing this product in front. I have seen a lot of people now coming up with reptile products. People are watching reptiles in this country. Tour companies have been set. This morning I've been discussing with many people. They're talking about butterflies. You know, it's a big product, huge product. We just have to look at developing infrastructure for those products. And then also adventure. We need to structure properly the adventure tourism. What do we need to put into adventure to attract the youth locally here and within the regional market? Because if you talk about African market, you need to think about the new products that can excite the young people, like Jean is talking about. We have about over 60% of youth, people below 40 really. There are very many. How can you put them into these things? You must dance their tune to make sure they get involved in what we are, what they can do and enjoy and be happy with it. Those products must come out. We have got marine, the what they call blue tourism, blue economy. The blue economy is really, we have fresh waters. You know, I've just been, Jean was with me, we've just been to some of these countries here, you know, testing salty waters. No, here we have fresh water. Very fresh. We need to look at all these lakes we have. Very many. You fly over Uganda, you'll be shocked. It is all covered with water. We don't have any boats on these waters. We don't do fishing. We do fishing spots. They can be anywhere. We have, you know, hundreds of different types of species in these lakes. Someone can do fishing as an activity, as a sport, and a lot of people will come here because most of these people have big economies. They are surrounded by sea waters. They can come here and do a lot. We have a lot of things we can do. In fact, if we go to segment cultural heritage tourism, you can't believe that the way we live is amazing, is different from other people. I know some people in Buindi, in Kibare, the good area, they have now started taking tourists after chimpanzees. They take them to rural life, you know, peeling bananas, squeezing juice, making alcohol.
And that is the true tourism that we need to
tourists
promote.
are going for it every other time. They want to be there. They want to see, how do you make coffee? You know, that traditional life. How do you make coffee? How do you cook food? Those are the things that you need to bring out completely and compete very well in the market. We are different.
Which begs the question, Jean, how are you incorporating such things or such cultures that are, you know, significant to Uganda into the hospitality sector? Except for the vitenges that our hosts wear.
No. We are very creative. By the way, one of the exciting things about working in tourism, hospitality, is the level of creativity. And I mean, right now, look, when you go to the lodges, look at most of this decor. We really work with local communities. Actually, now,
speaking of decor, I was at one of the centers within town, and I was mesmerized by the lighting that they do on the pathways, and it was having the tasks. And I was like, wow, that's very level beautiful.
Of creativity. Look at the uniforms. You know, the other day we were interviewing for one of the big hotels, and about 20% of general managers failed the interview because they came in suits. And the lodge owners said, this person didn't read the memo. They don't know who we are. You know, for us, we put on kitenge shirts. For us, we put on African wear in our hotel. So the people who came in suits were all thrown out.
So speaking of African wear, our hosts going to be wearing gomeses and kanzus?
No, our hosts are going to have, the notebooks will have some sort of, you know, kitenge something. The pens will have some sort of kitenge something. They are going to stay in hotels where the
kitenge is not Ugandan.
It's East African.
It's East African, but it's Uganda hosting, not East Africa hosting. And so that's what I'm asking. And you have time to really rethink the strategy here. You have the opportunity to welcome our guests while kneeling down. Those are the culture, the culture tourism that we're talking about, and that can be a talking point today. In Uganda, the women at the hotels kneel down. In accent, of course. So how can we use this small time to, incorporate some of these things into the experience that our guests are going to have at the summit?
Most certainly done our best. We have made sure that the way the people are going, the staff are going to be dressed, the way that we're going to present, we're going to have traditional food, we're going to have the wombo, we are going to have, we're working with the community tourism people to see how they can be able to bring their crafts around there for sale. Some of these community people are actually making the crafts which will be used as with part of the notepads. So we are doing our very best to try and incorporate this. I mean, even the linen, you know, the runners on the beds are kitenge material. So as much as possible, and again, as much as funds can allow. Don't forget, we have not had...
But kneeling doesn't need funds.
No, I'm saying, exactly, kneeling doesn't need funds. But don't forget, we have not had Uganda Development Bank giving us a grant for hotel owners to come and buy.
Kneeling is not Ugandan.
No, it's a culture. It's a culture, yes.
So you expect if they walk to a restaurant, a traditional restaurant, people to do that. But if you got somebody who is manning a stage somewhere from one part of this country, you never kneel down. They don't know it.
Again, there are some people who are
and that's what you were saying,
with that culture.
That there's enormous culture opportunities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So between you and me, we come from different cultures.
Yeah.
But we need to expose those cultures.
But we
to
also
the people.
need to balance, right? What might be acceptable in my culture might be taboo in your culture. So, for instance, I'm a Munyankole. If I hug my father-in-law,
the head of state who's
okay.
coming doesn't know that.
No, and that's why we don't need to offend them.
No,
so we
we're
balance.
not offending them.
We don't want to hug.
Really sharing our cultures.
No, we don't want to hug somebody who is not supposed to be hugged by a woman, and then we create a PR nightmare. So again, even with culture, you have to strike a very good balance between respect and also being able to you know, push your culture, but respect. We come from different cultures. There are different things that appeal to us. You know, in Ankole we hug. Not every culture does that. So we also have, you know, in Ankole maybe many of us don't kneel. But when I come to another culture where they say, no, for the elders you kneel, I have to kneel. So it is about striking a balance.
And that is where I come to say that, you know, as our guests are coming into the hotels that have been certified to host them, you can simply, you know, there's an announcer says, welcome to Uganda, and the Buganda culture with this many number of people and this many clans, this is how they greet you in Buganda, and they kneel down. Then tomorrow they do it in Ankole. I'm just really saying, but we're going to take a short breather. We're going to continue with this interesting conversation. Do stay with us. Let me tell you, we are actually coming up with beautiful ideas for the next summits after the ones that are coming through in January. But the whole point is, as a country, how do we leverage on our tourism and hospitality sectors to create the stay and spend culture for us here in Uganda? When you look at the contribution of tourism directly and indirectly, those are enormous numbers so far. Before COVID-19, we prided in a very serious growth rate, and now we seem to be going back to that trajectory, and even with better potential. Herbert was talking about flagship products, and he mentioned cultural heritage, which caused a very huge debate here. He talked about wildlife, bird watching, adventure, marine, or what's known as the blue economy. All these are untapped potentials that we do have as a country. And so when you look at those potentials, it begs the you know, the question of the tourism policy for Uganda. 2003, Uganda's tourism policy aims at ensuring that the tourism industry becomes a vehicle of poverty reduction while protecting the environment at the same time, and this is the current drive in the tourism. It begs the question, are we actually following through some of these things, Herbert, when it comes to the investments that are being made in the tourism sector? Are they in line with the policy for Uganda?
I think the policy of 2003 got expired. They should have a new policy now. But all in all, culture heritage tourism connects us to all other aspects of tourism business. It talks about our behavior, how unique we are, how we interact with ecosystems, how we interact with other people who come from wherever they have come from. You know, it's just an amazing product that we really need a strategy to develop it properly. Because there is nothing we have that makes us unique other than cultural heritage tourism. It makes us unique. You not find Baganda in Kenya. You're not going to find the Bachiga in Sudan. They are here. The Basoga are only here. So all we have here is very rich and extremely different. And the fact that we can have a policy that can think about how to create business within these people, within ourselves as domestic tourism, but also attracting other people from other places of the world, it goes back to what Gina was saying earlier. We need huge investment. Tourism sector should be seen by the policymaker and the powers that be is an area that we need to invest, and it does not betray. You know, from a birding perspective, when I bring a birder here for a farm trip and I spend $5,000 and he goes back and brings me 10 people will spend more than $7,000 per person. You spend 5,000 and you get 50,000 within 1 year. So it's something that we need to think about. If you want people to come to Uganda and stay within and spend the money and appreciate Uganda and even come and invest, we've got to spend money by attracting them to come and see. And go with word of mouth. It's only word of mouth that beats people, not papers, not writing documents. No, once people come here and see for themselves, whoever has come here, even the recent group we had in the conference, they say Uganda is amazing. Even people from Kenya here, whom we had last month, they told us they could not believe Uganda was like this. You can imagine Mombasa here. So it's something that we need to invest in and make sure that every region has a very good hotel. The Gene type have got a lot of technical advice, a lot of reliable information about how to run a hotel. But also we need to invest more in human resources. We need to strengthen our systems in training our people. True. Hospitality is a people business. You must train people on how to do business. This thing of gambling, waking up somebody becomes a manager because it's your daughter, because it's your son. You cannot run a hotel.
Because you don't want to spend.
A hotel has
you think
systems.
The relative has a better eye.
You cannot, because the attitudes can't work out. There are systems that operate a hotel, and you must use them. And indeed, the Kenyan managers have told us that Ugandans are very good people if you train them. So what we lack is training. Now, there is a big issue I find when you talk about training. Jean hinted on it earlier. The academic world is quite different from professional development because the academics can marry with professional development at some stages. But if you pick someone from my village and you say, I'm going to train you as a waiter from today, in 10 years, this person can be a general manager of a hotel because they will have understood the whole system. They know everything. Now, when they are educated, they are given a chance to analyze things in a better way because they can read, they can understand, they can actuate issues. That's why education becomes important. So we need to look at that. And of course, as you know, we cannot rely only on academic world and forget about professional development because there are so many people who dropped at senior 4, P7, university, they are even first year in the university. Very many.
So the quality of skill.
Yes, you just need to give them the right skills. Let me tell you, we've been importing baristas for many years, importing baristas from Dubai, from Kenya, from some to come and make coffee. But I saw somebody in the Bugolobe has a school for baristas, and in Tinda. That's a step. But the country is huge. We need baristas. We are a coffee producing country, but we cannot consume it because we don't have baristas. But people have started bringing machines, maybe, and many other areas. You talk about now in NAM and G77, the cultural heritage tourism is going to lose out. To be honest, it's going to lose out because we did not develop the structures along the value chain to have guides who can explain properly, who are trained in culture. We haven't reached there. We've been dealing with other areas, but culture is still lacking. We need to do much really to make sure that we have got people, even religious. We are going to host cardinals from all over the world very soon in February under PSFU. But we need to have people who are trained in that area. Tour managers who are trained in packaging, religious tourism. Religious tourism packages, they should be clear and have a reason. The matters story they're talking about, which is actually going to attract very many people, it has to be packaged properly in different segments: walking, cycling, driving through all the matter sites. It does not mean it has to be only in June. No. That's why tour operators are not selling it, because it was packaged for only June. And then we lose out. But we are saying, no, wait a minute, no, this is a huge product. It has got markets in Nigeria, in Congo, in Italy, in Mexico, in Brazil. There are so many religious people who want to come here. So the tour operator should be able to package it and be able to sell it to the people, so that it's continuously bring in people here, and they give money to the church, give money to the all installations, because the properties belong to churches. Wherever they pass, they drop money there, and people want to do it. It's an emotional thing. People feel like, I want to be like Jesus, I want to be like, you know, these faithful people, which is okay. We make money out of them, and there are so many jobless people who should be able to work in these things. Really, look, we went to a site in Kisubi after NTV. We were stopped. They didn't allow us to enter there. We were trying to practice, to test it and see. But we still have that conservative mind. What are they coming to do? Because it's a cultural site. Yes, a cultural site. Days have passed. We need people to come and enjoy it, hear the history, listen to the guide, and pay. You know, just listening to pay the money. From there, they go and take coffee. They go and sleep in a hotel. Yeah. You know, like you imagine, there are not very many sites from Entebbe to Mitiana up to Namugongo. When you say
that, there's a time I was in Kabari, and there's of course the museum there, and it was a Saturday, and the museum was closed.
You can imagine.
And I was dismayed. It's like, I would have wanted to know what is in that museum, but it was closed off, you know, for any engagement.
Yes, going to some of this, we had to look for permission from the church leaders. Sometimes the permission have to come from somewhere far from this country. I think that's not very good.
So even churches have gamba no goods.
Yes, sometimes you have to call here and there, and you know, but eventually they open that. But there was a lot of strict restrictions, a lot of rules, a lot of. But
and yet in Rome, in Italy, that is one of their tourism spots.
I wonder, they sold me water. They sold me water in a bottle.
Yeah. Holy water.
$20. Holy water. It's okay, it's holy water. But it's water. H2O.
Normal water.
Yeah, it's normal water. But it's a whole breast. That's how they make money from us. Here we don't want to do it. But the good thing they have done, I've been in a meeting of the Interreligious Council. We had it at the National Mosque, in Gaddafi Mosque. I was impressed that even Catholics, Protestants, you know, all these people who are these different groups, they are all there. Maybe that's a very good step that the government should be able to support quickly and make sure that we don't lose out. The Matters Trail is a huge thing for us. It can make billions of dollars to our economy. But you need to plan for it. We don't need just rush into it, to plan for it and say, okay, thank you very much, you have these sites. How can we build business along them? Do we need hotels? You know, do we need to put tour operators who are specialized in this? Do we need packages which marry with wildlife, which marry with adventure, which marry with the blue economy? Put them together and develop fantastic packages that look different from our competitors. Our competitors have taken space. They are in the source markets. They have huge space. They come and we talk and we dance around, but for them, they are already centered there. They are on the ground. They are doing. I was in California one day, and I saw a pop-up on my phone. It was saying, "Africa Solutions, Magical Kenya." It lasted for like a second and disappeared, but I read it. That's how they market. They have reached that far. But for us, we are still here, darling. We don't know where the business is. There is a lot we can do and change this country.
Okay. In short, Herbert's strategy is a polygamous strategy. You know, heritage marrying with culture, marrying with wildlife, marrying with adventure, and marrying with all these other, you know, products that we can sell as a country collectively, and religion being one of those, because we're so a hub that really has a diversity in religion. The other day we were passing through Kasubi, and my mother was telling me about the Orthodox Church. I was like, yeah, Mom, I know the Orthodox Church. Like, but for her it was like, my child should know about the Orthodox Church. Anyway, Jean, you're an advocate of meetings, of incentives, of conferences, and exhibition kind of tourism. I know that there's something that you have called MICE. What is MICE?
Okay, MICE is an acronym for meetings, incentives, conferences, and events. It is one of the segments of tourism. You know, there are different segments, like Herbert was saying. There is culture tourism. There is MICE. MICE particularly applies to the hospitality industry, because we go out there, we bid for these conferences, we bid for these events, we bid for these meetings, and it is something, again, that has a big value chain effect and a big ripple effect, because for MICE to be able to take place, infrastructure must be developed. We are going to host CAF in the coming years. You can see we are doing the stadiums, we are doing the airports, we are doing the roads, we are going to take care of the potholes. That's what MICE is able to do. In Uganda right now, in Africa right now, Uganda is number 6. We came from 0, you know, and we have steadily been growing. MICE really gives you the health of the industry. You know, you saw how we were in Chogam, rushing to put up all these buildings that came up in seconds.
But you see, it's the same thing that we're having in Nam. And kid you not, it's going to be the same syndrome when we have CAF. When we have CAF, I will host both of you here, and you will tell. I hope you tell me otherwise.
You give me a year after.
We need to give.
So we're able to measure.
We also need to give credit where credit is due. You see, everybody always compares Uganda to South Africa and Morocco and in the US. In Europe, yes. But those people operating with bigger budgets. Those people have a longer history than we do. Those people have been marketed. They have bigger marketing budgets. So we also need to give ourselves credit where credit is due. We need to run our own race. We are not comparing the US and who can host, the Olympics or the World Cup at the drop of a hat. The fact that even Uganda bidded and they came and FIFA came and said, yes, you guys can do this. That is already a huge plus, positive. We would not even have dreamt of doing this in the first place. The fact that Uganda bidded and was able to get NAM and G77, 100 heads of state coming into this country, 100 world leaders, 100 decision makers, like you said, this is not something we should take lightly. This is a tap on the back. The fact that we went, again, the processes are long. The processes are tedious. It's phone calls at 3 a.m. and, ungodly hours at the witching hour if you're working. So we need to first give credit where credit is due. The fact that Uganda is number 6 in Africa. Amongst we are competing with giants like Morocco, like Rwanda, like South Africa. That is something that we should be proud of.
Talking about, you also need to make sure that we have the community that is certified. We need a lot to certify people so that we always bid and succeed. Because I don't see any reason why we should bid and lose. No, but we need to prepare our people very well to make sure the law is protecting us. We are now bidding massively as a country, sometimes because Uganda has come out in many other ways. But when you go to private bidding, we lose because the systems are new. We are trying to build them, but we need government to put in more resources here to make sure that we have systems in place that even if a company went privately to bid for a conference, they can win it. But that depends on how many DMCs you have, PCOs in the system, that you are certified by the laws. The laws must certify them because it's a requirement. And I know Uganda has a convention bureau at Uganda Tourism Board, so it has to work hard to make sure that we get people in place so that hotels don't struggle alone to find that they are going to, because we are going to pick like 20 hotels in Uganda, they can go and bid. But then when they bid to host a conference, what about other members of the value chain? Complementers are going to feed within. Because they cannot only come for a conference and go back. No, if when people come for a conference, we only benefit when they
and
do
that's
things.
one of the challenges that have been given to organizers of some of these conferences, because the truth is, honestly, we are becoming a hub of international gatherings. And so the challenge has always been, you do have Explore Uganda that just comes to display, and they're not at least bring a live chimpanzee, put it in a cage and put it right there.
That would be much better.
That would be a much better than giving me a flare and talking about chimpanzees. You know
the girl from South Africa recently, who were in a conference.
Yes.
When we were in the conference of the women borders, they sneaked out and jumped on the borders and they went downtown. They shopped things like, but Uganda doesn't talk about this shopping. These things are good. Exactly. Somebody from South Africa is excited about shopping on Kampala Street. It was, people looked at her like she's Ugandan, but she doesn't know anything to do with Uganda, no language, nothing. But for her, she was buying. And so I don't know how much she paid, but she came with a big.
But you see, that is how prepared that individual was to get something from Uganda and take it back to the, to their people. And also, and I kept challenging these organizers that how are you exactly marrying what Herbert talked about? How are you marrying our beautiful Uganda with, the mice that you're talking about? And so moving forward, Jean, how are you encouraging people to actually marry the two? Have the people come in for a 5-day or 2 or 3-day event, and then thereafter give them an experience of Uganda, a collective designed package onto what you have organized, not giving them the option of, if you have your money, go and explore Uganda. No,
we also need to realize that the tourism environment is always changing. The traveler of today is a lot smarter than even. They know a lot more about the destination where they're going. Yeah. They know a lot more about, you know, where the markets are, where can I get this, what is on Kampala Road. I've heard about, they know, because everything right now is in the palm of their hands. So we also need to be able to be very dynamic in the way we are marketing and to who we are marketing to. The older traveler has got different needs. The younger traveler doesn't even need a tour operator. They will buy their ticket, they will jump on a plane, they will have all their life in a backpack, and they will come and be able to do that. So our challenge is we still have a one-size-fits-all approach in terms of marketing. You put up one advert, but it's not speaking to me as a middle-aged person. It's not making Herbert as an old person.
Young old.
Not that you're old. It's not speaking to the young person. So again, this gets lost in translation because of a lot of information. Like you said, Magical Kenya pops up for 2 seconds. Again, look at the environment that we are going in. The TikTok environment has brought down our attention span.
And I'll tell you, Rwanda has just hosted, I think over the weekend, they've just hosted an international festival, music festival, where they had Jason Derulo coming down to their country. And I was like, I just saw it. It was honestly a pop-up, but I marketed it.
Because, again, we need to remember the very changing world of technology. Now, because of TikTok, even for me, if you send me a video that's more than 5 seconds, I will scroll. There's a lot of entertainment, there's a lot of information. You need to be able to capture someone's attention within 3 to 5 seconds. You miss that, that sale is gone. So even the tourism campaigns that we're doing, I don't even have the patience to watch a 10-minute video. Nobody has that time, nobody has that patience, because TikTok is things, you know, information is flowing. That's where we need to have this marketing from. That's what we need to be able to do. We need somebody to pick up and have a pop-up and be curious enough to click that link, you know, to be able to see that. So even the marketing that we're doing, it needs to first understand the traveler that we are marketing to, the market that we are traveling to. The mice market is different from the culture market. The mice market is different from the adventure market. So you cannot have a one campaign that speaks to all of them. Segment the market, analyze the traveler, then push the campaign to the traveler. The young people are the 2-second people, but we have the Herbert's age mates who can watch a 10-minute video. We have my father, who you will find in his chair because now they have Wi-Fi at home, our retiring parents, and he's watching this thing for the next 30 minutes, right? That is also a different market because he's retired, he's got money, he's got time, he can travel at leisure.
Now, see, like Jean is putting it, if you say we are going to market adventure for the next 2 years as part of the 5 flagship products, you have to look for where to market, which people.
Who to?
If you're talking about cultural tourism and this slow-moving, slow-paced itinerary for the people, you know, the aged people, 60 and above, are retired. They have saved their money, they are at home, they are getting, you know, profits all the time on their money saved in their mortgages or whatever it is. They are ready to go for those days. But what message do you give to them? Because they are very sensitive about their savings. They are going to spend their money coming to the country. What stories do you package for them? Like Ginny puts it rightly, you cannot have one size fits all. No, you have to segment. And this is what other countries have done. And whenever there's a problem, they are always moving. They have business going on. But you wonder why? What are they doing? They have different segments of different types of travelers who keep going, keep coming. And it's something we need to think about. Because if you are going to talk about blue economy, do you expect someone of 70 to go into blue economy? Very few can go for that. But the younger people, 40 and below, they are there.
Definitely.
They are there. They don't have to think much about it. They can come and do
adventure.
Swimming, they do it. They can jump out, they can go into mountains, they can climb, they can go into villages. They can even go and actually work in villages for 10. I see Americans coming here in churches. They go to Masindi, in those areas, stay 3 weeks, digging, do everything, lots of things, take them back on study tours. But we don't pick quickly and make sure that we actually package them. So we need a strategy for packaging this country, very strong package. Like now in this NAM and G77, we should have come up with our 5. I don't know whether we have them yet. 5.
That is where I leave the challenge of a question to both of you, because he has rightly said we should have this is not a summit or summits that were known unto us 2 months ago. You've had this information for about 300 days, and in those 300 days we cannot be still using the language of we should have, and therefore this is it's gone. Where we are right now, it's done and dusted. We're just waiting for the actualization. But we have other opportunities that are coming and knocking at the window and the gates of Uganda. Let's talk about maybe the CAF, AFCON, that is coming our way 2027. Within this time frame, as hospitality and tourism, what are you doing to design the stay and spend kind of interests that will keep people here, enjoy Uganda, and use the marketing of word by mouth? I'll start with you, Jean.
You're absolutely right. For some reason, Ugandans, we are always last-minute people, you know, and we are always rushing. It catches us unaware. We've had time to be able to do this, and we are going to start doing this in the last 3 months before. So again, it is a habit. We need to also shine a torch within ourselves. Again, if we're going to compete at the world stage, these are some of the things we need to sit and be honest with. And be able to shine a torch and say, okay, we need to be able to get this thing moving. We need decision makers who take decisions and can get things moving. But that is a lesson learned. But also, like I keep saying, it is an opportunity for us. The fact that we were able to bid for some of these conferences for CAF and it has come, it's an opportunity. We already have, again, the private investors who, like you said, are Kwetega right now. People who are putting up, you know, hotels around, people who are putting up some sort of investments around, people who are looking at leasing their houses. I have had 1 or 2 people who say, oh my goodness, I stay around Nambole, I want to lease my house when it... So the people, and again, opportunity always meets preparedness. That is very important. And we cannot, again, like I keep saying, shine a torch within ourselves. We cannot keep throwing the ball to somebody else, the ball to government, the ball to private sector. Even us, at one point, we need to be able to hold this ball and see where we can run with it, you know, 2 or 10 steps. So the people who are actually saying, you know what, there's this opportunity. I have my house. Let me go get a loan, finish this house because I will be able to make back that money. I can charge my tiny boy's got a bedroom for $1,000 and I will get that money because we are going to be overflowing. I mean, sports tourism is massive. We are going to get every kind of person.
For November 2026.
Absolutely. And the people who are ready.
This is what I'm charging you with. We're not waiting for November 2026. What is the ball that you're going to run with moving forward?
I think in our from the private sector approach, we think within 2024 we should be able to position ourselves. We make a checklist. Do you have these type of service providers? Do you have enough lodges? Do you have all? Once you have the structures in place, then which we must play as private sector, then we are able to say, okay, we need extra this, we need this, we need that. Once you have systems in place, we think about travel insurances of some people. How can people come into here? We think about two operators who have been bonded, that they have got that bondage which covers them in terms of insurance. People don't have to fear working with our people. We have the strong, in fact, for the first time, we have a strong private sector working together now, which gives me confidence that within the next whole year, we'll be preparing ourselves for hosting such a big events. I can assure you, we cannot let this African Cup go like that. No. We are going to make sure that we earn something from it. And I can also say that there are people who will come earlier. We should prepare ourselves. They're going to come early and see the country.
Advanced teams.
Advanced teams, they should see the country. Even those who have who have been beaten and they are planning to go back, we should tap on them, give them a week retreat. It is also cheaper as a government to make sure that whoever is in that competition, instead of rushing back home, we give them free tour to the country. But what we have to do, put them cameras on them. We put cameras on them. Wherever they go, we follow them. If they have gone to see gorillas, we put cameras on them. They tell us the excitement. Those are the things we are going to use to tell others. These guys have enjoyed whatever they do. If they have eaten Luwombo, the camera should be on them. How was Luwombo?
Jean and Herbert here have made their commitments and they've given me hope, and I trust that they've also given this hope to you that the hospitality and tourism sector will be ready at least for CAF AFCON 27. And so between now and then, we have high expectations from both the union your capacities. Jean is definitely the Executive Director for the Uganda Hotel Owners Association, as well as Herbert, President, Uganda Tourism Association.
No,
and
Confederation of Uganda
Confederation of Uganda. Oh, it was changed recently.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So thank you so much. It's been insightful and very educative and informative to have this debate with you. And I trust that in the near future, we're going to have Uganda a stay and spend destination for all the world.